Good evening, folks. What's going on there? It is Earthmaster here on this beautiful Monday evening, August 16, 2021 today, about 7 p.m. West Coast time here in California. 4.9 earthquake showing up around the South America region, the latest quake on the globe. Quite a bit of earthquake activity popping off over the last 24 hours or so, including a fairly large earthquake down here in the South Sandwich Islands. It's a 6.9 earthquake right here that occurred, way earlier this morning, my time. Kind of like the, what is that now? The second largest aftershock. We had a foreshock. Actually, this would be the largest aftershock because we had a 7.5 and then the 8.1 struck. We did have a 6.3 that stood as the largest aftershock for a little bit, but now this one here covers the largest aftershock sequence here. And this one, compared to other earthquakes, we had the 8.1 up here in this region, 7.5 down here, and then the 6.3 further south. This one much shallower, and actually beyond, east of the South Sandwich Trench area at about 14 kilometers or so. Obviously still quite a bit of buildup of pressure in this region, folks. And of course, you cannot rule out potentially a stronger than a 6.9 quake in the future here within the coming days. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. Over the last 24 hours, 12 earthquakes, including that pretty strong 6.9 in that area of the South Sandwich Islands. There is the 4.9. USGS has this at the West Chile Rise. You can see this area out here. Subduction zone of the Peru-Chile trench over here in the red line north to south along the Chile coast. 4.9 struck at about looks like 10 kilometers or so. We're looking at further activity up here to the north as well. Some movement into the subduction zone here, the Peru-Chile trench, 5.0 and a 4.6. Somewhat deep, but not as deep as we've seen over the past couple days here. Roughly about 61 and 50 kilometers for that pair of earthquakes. Puerto Rico looking pretty quiet in this area as far as the 2.5 and go, 2.5 and above. The all magnitudes does not add too much more earthquake activity in the Puerto Rico area. Pretty quiet. Only two pointers in that region for now. East Coast looking pretty quiet. Oklahoma getting in on a little bit of more action compared to last night. And Pecos, Texas as well, at least northwest of Pecos, Texas, getting in on some 2-pointers in that area of the state. Looking at a little bit more seismically active area over into the Intermountain West and the Pacific Northwest compared to last night. Yellowstone activity kicking up a little bit. We'll look at the map here shortly. There's some of the movement up here into the Pacific Northwest. Looking at a few earthquakes or so kicking off. 38 kilometers for a 2.2. A little bit further to the east, even deeper. 1.3 at 85 kilometers. That's pretty deep. We're getting a lot of deep movement into the region of the Cascadia subduction zone. And of course, underneath the North American plate due to that subduction itself. A little bit of movement north of Portland. Deep activity as well, 26 kilometers. Little explosion out there in the forest. Not for sure what's going on with that. No movement, at least in the surface regions of the Cascadia into Northern California. Looking pretty quiet there on the USGS map. This one kicked off last night. I remember seeing that kind of west of Chico. Did not feel it. 3.0 north of Lake Pillsbury, California. A little bit further movement over here around Quincy, a 1.4. Overall, Northern California activity very quiet for the most part. Not a whole lot of movement around the Antelope Valley area as well. Long Valley looking pretty quiet. Ridgecrest, a bunch of microquakes, but nothing really to be concerned about. And Southern California looking pretty quiet as well. A little swarming out there in the it looks like northeast of the Coyote Mountains. 9 to 10 kilometers for that earthquake activity, but pretty quiet. I mean, it's I'm not going to say quiet, but it's definitely looking like it's kind of calming down along the California area yesterday and today, but further active into the Intermountain West regions, and also over here in inland into portions of Texas. So just got to keep an eye on things. What do we got up here in Alaska? A little bit of movement around the 8.2 region. Couple threes popping off. Looks like a 4.1 as well for an aftershock sequence following that large earthquake there some time ago. Japan still very quiet, very quiet, very, very quiet. Some deep, deep movement. Man, check out that deep earthquake activity off the coast of North Korea. 550 kilometers. Woo! We just don't see that too often. Although, looking at the seismic activity in that area over time, there's nothing but deep movement out there. Since about 1900 or so, the epicenter of that earthquake today, just off the coast of North Korea, is in the star. The dark colored circles indicating deep, deep movement, more than 300 kilometers. And like I said, that's all we have out here in this zone. So no doubt it's deep, but it's not uncommon for activity in that region. Let's move down here around the Vanuatu area, 5.1. Some further deep movement, 161 kilometers. And some activity kicking off here in the Indian Ocean, it looks like. Well, 5.0. Afghanistan, still seeing some activity over there, and also a little bit of increase in activity around the Austria, Croatia region, and Greece. You can see a lot of earthquake activity stretching up in this region. Default depth, it looks like about 10 kilometers or so for all three of them. And yeah, that's, like I say, there's a whole lot of movement and shuffling going on in the plates at the moment. Let's check out the Yellowstone overview, and then we'll get into the tremor activity. There's some of the activity in the Yellowstone area. Looks like a little bit of microquake showing up. You can see some of these spikes here indicating the earthquake activity in Yellowstone National Park. But overall, man, it's just not impressive. Pretty quiet there at Yellowstone National Park for the most part. Tremor in the Pacific Northwest. What do we got? Whoop-de-doo. 10 epicenters up here around the Seattle area, and that's kind of explaining the deeper movement up here taking place. Most of this activity, the tremor, takes place around 25, 35 kilometers or so below the surface into the subduction zone. So, yeah, that definitely explains the somewhat of the deeper movement that's showing up there on the USGS map. The rest of the Cascadia, pretty quiet, folks. Not a whole lot going on, let me tell you. Space weather, I don't believe we're looking at anything significant. It looks like they raised it up from a 10% to 15% chance of a solar flare. These solar flare or these sunspots are kind of turning away from Earth. But if they were to pop off something significant, no doubt we would be affected. But they're it's a 15% chance of a sea flare. Kind of looking pretty minimal as they head away from the Earth-directed areas. Coronal holes pretty minimal as well, way up on the north, a couple on the south there, but man, it's just pretty quiet, folks. Pretty quiet on the sun for the most part for now. All right, guys, have a good Monday night. Stay safe out there. Gonna jump off here and kind of monitor the live stream for a little bit, and just keep an eye on things here. We will chat you guys another time, probably tomorrow. Stay safe, everyone. Peace out.